You're listening to the Never Heard of It podcast,
a Night Shift Radio original. Every week we bring you the good,
the bad,
the weird,
and lesser-known streaming movies.
Hit subscribe for new episodes every Thursday and Sunday.
Penelope's very confused. She's trying to climb up into my arm, and I'm trying to clap, and she's like, what do I do?
I gotta go.
No, I sit here.
Right.
Say hi, everybody.
Hello.
You're on the internet.
Hello.
Like,
Penelope's saying hello because it's a brand new episode with a brand new special. We're kicking off. For those of you guys who have been sticking around for a while, you're probably like, "Oh yeah, I remember this little shindig again." So we brought the SuperPodHeroCast guys back because we are going to be talking about Secret Invasion, episode by episode, which I definitely have been calling Secret Wars every time and then correcting myself, which is not yet.
Secret Wars.
That's coming.
It's like 5 years from now. I know, right? It's true.
Well, depending on how long this writer's strike goes.
Right. Or Jonathan Major's trial goes.
Oh, yeah. Yeek.
They pushed back. So they pushed back Kang Dynasty and the next film after it. They pushed those back by a full year. And the assumption is because Jonathan Majors will still be in litigation and stuff, and they don't know whether they can keep him or not.
So my 2 cents, recast just to save themselves the time. Jonathan Majors was fantastic, but there's too much stank on him at this point.
Yeah.
I'd like to point to The Flash / Ezra Miller. I liked the movie a lot, but
I was going to say, like, this episode
bombing.
obviously isn't about The Flash, but, like, have either of you seen it? I haven't yet.
Oh, it's really good, but
goddamn.
man, it's just going to be, people are just going to hate it because of Ezra Miller. But recast Kang as another variant, because we've seen variants be different people.
Yeah, easy.
And may I introduce you to one Mr. John Boyega?
Oh my God, I would kill for that. I would kill for John Boyega.
Has the same energy as Jonathan Majors.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. He could totally and if he keeps the British accent, because like he's so much cooler with the British accent. Like I'm very excited for his new film coming out called They Cloned Tyrone.
Yes.
Very excited for that. It's coming up on Netflix. It's him, Jamie Foxx, a bunch of other really great actors. It looks stupidly hilarious. Very excited. I think as of time of recording this, I think it comes out in like a week or two. But They Cloned Tyrone just really looks super funny, but John Boyega gets to really be himself in that because he can be very silly, especially if you remember from like Attack the Block and stuff like that. Yes, Casey, you're absolutely right.
That's who it should be. Like,
I think he'd be fantastic at it, but like, let's also not forget that like the multiverse that we've gotten so far in the Marvel universe has shown us like the infinite I mean, we literally got, was it crocodile or alligator Loki? So, like, it literally doesn't fucking matter who you recast someone as. It does not matter in the slightest as long as you have a multiverse story.
But wait till you see Across the Spider-Verse. You thought Crocodile Loki was weird?
Ooh, that's exciting.
I'm very excited about that. We, I was telling you both about this, I think. Like, Ellen, I forgot, hasn't seen Into the Spider-Verse because, Michael, you and I saw it together and she wasn't up to going that time. And I completely forgot about it. I thought we had seen it together. And she's like, nope, I didn't. I'm like, well, I guess we're waiting.
Yeah, legit. I forgot that we saw that together.
Yeah.
Completely. Like even you telling me that we saw it together, and I'm like, well, I don't remember doing it.
That's the thing.
Like it didn't spark a memory. I'm just like,
I'm telling you we did it, but I don't remember it either.
Right. You could be right. I don't know.
Wait, is this a Mandela effect?
I'm just believing my partner. She tends to be the rememberer in our family.
She's the hard drive.
I am the very definition of random access, man.
So anyway, so to bring it back to our intro, hello, you're listening and watching the Never Heard of It podcast. We are going to be talking about episode 1 of Secret Invasion. We will be spoiling this episode. So if you have not watched it yet, first off, it's been out for like 5 days. Like if you haven't watched it by now, you obviously don't care about spoilers. But if you are watching and you're like, crap, I haven't watched that yet, hit subscribe, come back later, hit subscribe on YouTube, hit subscribe on your podcast player of choice. come back later. We're doing this week by week. So for the next 6 weeks, we're going to be having both Casey and Todd, or just Casey, or Casey and Todd, joining us to talk about the episodes, and they will all be spoiled. But again, it's been like 5 days since the time of airing this.
Also, any TSPHC Army people who are over here from our feed, we're going to spoil movies that we haven't gotten to yet.
Oh,
Yeah. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, so
I mean,
danger's the wait.
yes.
Should you continue down this path?
yeah, just enter at your own risk. That's what she said.
So I'm just reminded of the movie Teeth. So
Why? I forgot that movie existed, Michael. How dare you?
it's great. So of course, Casey from the SuperPodHeroCast, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
You've been around for a while now. You've been on a lot of episodes. You co-hosted with me while Bree was gone for a month, and we did a whole bunch of apocalypse movies.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me back after I gave you all those found footage movies that you didn't seem to care much for.
They were fun. We had fun.
Did I tell you that I ended up watching the other 2 Hell House movies, and the 4th one is in the works? And I will watch it as well because I'm invested now.
And there's a remake of all of them coming out too. So the 4th one in the series by the same filmmakers, but another set of filmmakers is making a movie about that story. But I think it's not found footage. I think it is just like a straight horror film.
Oh, because that works so well for the Blair Witch Book of Shadows
Yeah,
sequel.
totally.
I know, Jesus.
Let's not make it a found footage movie.
Yeah, man, that was junk.
I'm kind of loving it because they have just been getting worse in this series. Like the first one was bad, but like they just kept going. I didn't think they could get any worse, and they did. And so like I'm really excited about number 4. I'm not excited at all. I'm going to watch it, but hearing the idea of like a total remake, like fuck, you know what? Fuck it, sign me up.
It's not like Hollywood's got any new ideas. I mean, they're already doing a live action Lilo and Stitch. I'm like, hang on.
Why?
The original came out when I was a full-fledged adult. Like that's
Yeah. Well, they're doing live action Moana even more so. That only came out like 5 years ago. Live action Moana is already being cast. They've already cast Moana. So like, and Dwayne and The Rock is returning as Maui.
But it's not. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her name because I'm a dumb white guy.
It is not whatever.
Yep,
Yeah,
see, I'm not gonna-
Also, she is in a really great Disney show right now, which Brie, you were talking about not that long ago.
Haley's on it.
Oh,
it's adorable.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so the voice of Moana is Haley, and Haley's on it. For those of you Good Place fans, her best friend in the show is played by Manny Jacinto, who played Jason Mendoza on it, and he's basically
Sign
Jason.
me the fuck
in it.
up.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
watch
such a great show.
Yeah.
It's really, really funny.
Disney Plus. I think it's like 6 episodes or something like that. They're like
So far,
super
yep.
short. It's adorable. It's a lot of fun. Definitely.
Also, Sarah Chalk is in it. She plays one of the main characters, so as well.
I'm sorry, buried the lead. Sarah Chalk.
Yeah, sorry. She's only in it a little bit, but yeah, Sarah Chalk is in it as well.
But she's in there. I'll be able to see her, right?
Well, you hear her voice.
It's animated.
It's animated.
Okay, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, it's still good. Yeah.
If you want to see the woman who played Moana in live action, she will be in the Mean Girls movie,
Oh,
the musical movie. So
The
they're
musical movie. Yeah.
movie.
yeah, Mean Girls the musical, the movie.
starring as Katie. I can't remember her name, but she was the girl that fell in love with Ned in No Way Home.
Oh,
Can't think of the actress
yeah,
name.
yeah. I know who you're talking about.
She was also in that great high Honor Society.
Yes,
That was a
with
great
the kid from Stranger Things.
Wonderful
Yeah.
movie.
Great.
Yep.
It's super great. And we can't say any more without telling you why we all think it's great.
Plus, we did cover it a little bit. So
Oh, well, if you want to, yeah, that okay, spoiler, but that twist was, I did not see coming at all. And it made me go, oh, shit, okay, yeah, great.
Sarah Chalk's character in Haley's on it, fucking hair goals, just incredible.
Oh,
yeah, that's really
Absolutely
cool.
in love
Yeah.
with like.
All right.
I'm madly in love with that character. But like me falling for a cartoon is nothing new.
Yeah. I mean,
We've all done it. Anyone who says they haven't is a bold-faced liar.
I mean, we grew up in the 80s. Like, we 100% crushed on like, we were crushing on, like, female Transformers. Like, we don't need to.
RC? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't know so many people shared that particular one with me.
That's not a weird one, Brie. Everybody.
Yeah.
They're drawn that way.
It's true.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Oh, well, there's one too. Yeah, there's one. I was like, I don't understand why.
Oh,
I
yeah,
like
that
this.
definitely was like okay. Anyways, let's get to the show. So we're here talking about Secret Invasion Episode 1, which has a really cool name, I'm sure, episode-wise. But, we'll get to that as soon as I eventually find it.
Do they have episode
Yeah, they do
titles?
have episode titles from, I think.
It's called Resurrection.
It's called
Resurrection.
It's called Have you seen a spy movie? There will be no twists here.
How dare you.
So let's get into that. So the idea of Secret Invasion is Skrulls have infiltrated Earth, and they are literally everywhere, and now they are bad. Now, the idea of this, obviously Secret Invasion comes from the Secret Invasion comics, and this is where we got the idea of Super Skrulls, which apparently are coming to the show, according to the trailer. So that's something that we can look forward to, but I still have to ask, how, we were just talking about this, Brie. How? Because Super Skrulls got their powers by stealing all of the Fantastic Four's powers. So how?
To which I said,
like, be Super Skrulls?
It would be kind of a baller move for them to introduce the Fantastic Four in this show, like formally introduced, because I feel like no one. I haven't heard anyone talk about it. It doesn't seem like anyone sees that coming as like their introduction to the MCU, and like that would be a fun and legitimate like surprise, which a lot of the stuff hasn't really been surprising when it's finally happened.
Yeah, I would really take this show up a notch if they were just like, surprise, we cast the Fantastic Four. Here they are. We kept it a secret. Like, for them to keep that a secret would be amazing.
For real. I mean, and a big reveal. I mean, it would, that would have to be an entire episode in itself. But we'll see, right? We'll see how it all works out. Maybe it's just going to be, like when WandaVision, where it's just in passing, they mention something that you're like, hang on, go back. That sounds important.
Like, wait a second.
Wait a minute. We should go back and talk about that.
My nerd sense is going off. That seems important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so we'll talk about it at the end, but obviously, I would say there is a twist ending to today's episode, but it's, as we've discussed, it's a little bit up for debate. So we'll see. So the first things first, though, the very first thing that we see right out the gate is we see Ross, coming in, right? Ross.
Ross.
Yeah. So Ross comes in, we last saw him in Wakanda Forever, being hijacked out of American custody and being whisked away to beautiful Wakanda. So that's where we last assumed he was. There are. I mean, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
So that's where we last assumed he was based on the knowledge we have from the movies and television. And then now we see him in Russia, and he's going and connecting to another, let's say, SHIELD. I think for the sake of simplicity, we'll say SHIELD agent.
I'm going to call this guy a local theater actor that is getting his big break, because this guy is huge, this entire scene. But he says all his lines like this. I am telling you about the Skrulls. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Were you by Crafty too long? Like, did you eat too many energy bars? Because Jesus Christ.
I think Richard Dormer really sold that part. I think he did.
Is he a Game of Thrones guy?
Yes.
Of course he is.
They're
all just coming over here.
I don't know. Yeah, they really are. No,
who is he?
He's Beric Dondarrion. I don't know shit fuck
Bless
about
you.
Wasn't
Game
even
of
anyone
Thrones.
important.
But I just he absolutely 100% overacted this scene. But I feel like the character that he's playing would put his whole chest into every conspiracy he's trying to sell. And
I have no problem with that part. It's just a perfect example when he hands Ross the like hollow emitter. Apparently now we're in Star Wars. The way he hands it, he's like, I'm going to bring it up over my head and then bring it down to you. I'm like, could you be a little less extra about this? Like, I wanted the gif of Martin going, calm down a bit.
Yeah.
Just take it down a notch, man.
The only part about this scene that like really got to me is he is standing there, and like I said, with his whole chest, he's like, "We can't trust anyone, man." Like, okay, so like this motherfucker literally just walked in off the street, and he looks like someone that you know and trust, but you have just spent however long explaining to him why you cannot trust anyone. Did you vet him at all? Spoiler, he didn't. At what point did he figure it out? Because he does. He figures it out, but it's just too late.
But so here's my question: how does he figure it out?
That was my complaint about this. There's no trigger.
There's
no
literally
trigger.
just when Ross, in quotes, is like, "I'll bring this to Fury," and like is really shady about it, like more shady than Ross would normally be, and like that's the moment. But like after I've handed over all of the secrets that I've been so jealously guarding in this conspiracy web I've been building for years, after I've given you everything, now I'm going to hand it to you and realize, oh, I fucked up. Like that wasn't believable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the timing of it all seemed very off. I agree. Because he does say, like, let me get it to Fury, but he kind of says it before he hands him the pad, and then he hands him the pad, and he looks at it, and then he jumps at him, and I'm like, wait, what is... I was like, why? What made you... It felt very like, I don't know why you're doing this.
Like
up until the moment when you see Ross eventually turn into a Skrull, and then I'm like... Okay, but how did you know?
The only thing I could think of, and there's like the only problem with it is that they don't give us an indication if this is the case or not, is if, what was his name? Prescott, I think, was the character?
Prescott.
Yeah. Prescott was, if he was intentionally like trying to bait out a Skrull agent, undercover, then like this scene makes sense. But nothing says to us that that's what's happening. It just feels like he got duped. And this guy is so prepared and so paranoid that just like, how is he going to get duped so easily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, and I think that's maybe where like this first moment but from this moment on, the whole episode kind of plays out like a Mission Impossible movie. And I love the Mission Impossible movies. So don't put your Mission Impossible in my I mean, they've
Get
already
your impossible missions out of my MCU.
Yeah, like they've already done an amazing spy movie. Winter Soldier this shit, and I will be all there. But it's just like, even in that, I knew who the Winter Soldier was before the movie came, but I still fucking loved every minute of it. Like, as soon as they announced Captain America, the Winter Soldier, I'm like, oh, Bucky's coming back. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, great.
Yeah,
Easy.
everyone knows this.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so that's the thing. So, they have a topple. Prescott jumps on top of Ross. They scuffle a little bit, and Ross eventually shoots Prescott, which also is awkward because the way he jumps on him, Ross's hands are up. And then he gets shot. So even the second time through I watched this, I was like, oh shit, who's in the room with them?
Right.
But that's not what is happening. Ross shoots Prescott and then runs away, to which he starts being chased by somebody yelling in Russian for some reason.
But they're in Moscow.
But the person who is yelling at him and the person he is chasing, they both know are not Russians, because the person chasing him is Talos. And the person that Talos is chasing, he knows is Ross or a Skrull. So why is he yelling at him in Russian? He knows who it is. They both know who each other are.
Right.
Even if it is Ross Human and Talos, they know each other.
How do you say how do you say that guy's name?
Talos?
They say it differently.
Everybody says it their own fucking way. And it is the thing that drives me the most nuts in movies.
Yes.
When people are like, because some people say Talos.
Yeah.
In the same scene, when the painter later, or the artist guy, he says Talos.
I gotta talk about that. When we get to that, I want to talk about this. It's so
Talos?
Funny.
And I'm like, I wanted to be like, why are you saying it like that? I say Talos. Right. Why are you saying Talos?
I'm so glad that you're hung up on that too, because that, like Michael can attest, is one of my biggest pet peeves in all of the whole film industry, is when you have a character, decide on the pronunciation of that character's name, teach your fucking actors what the pronunciation is, and stick to it. Every character pronouncing a name differently just makes me angry.
I mean, it's one
the
thing if it's
Han
cross accent.
thing.
Yeah, it's the Han thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
Yep.
So it's one thing if we're crossing accents, right? You know, this show obviously
Sure.
has Russian,
Sure.
British, and it's one thing
That's
if,
one thing, yeah.
you know, Olivia Colman is saying Talos and everyone else is saying Talos. Understandable, right? We're crossing over accents, but when you have two of the same accent people saying it differently, that's where you're like, pick a lane.
It's in Caecilius in Doctor Strange. Like, somebody, I don't remember who, but someone in the movie is like, Caecilius. I'm like, okay, now you're just trying to win at Scrabble. What are we doing here?
Right.
Why are you adding extra vowels?
Right.
No, that's
right.
not how this works.
They get paid by the syllables, so they're really like milking it.
Yeah. So while Casey was resolving some technical issues just then, you mentioned Rachel Bloom, and that brought to mind the fact that anytime I hear the last name Bloom, whether it's Orlando or Rachel or anyone, all I can think of is I'm Edward Bloom in Big Fish.
Oh yeah.
And like
oh,
to the
no,
point where
now
like
I'm going to do that.
to the point where I forget that was Ewan McGregor, and I just think like, oh yeah, Edward Bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totes.
Yeah, Edward Bloom, deep Southerner. Oh, wait, no, he's Brit.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, he's Scottish, isn't
Jesus,
he?
let's
yeah,
not like
Ewan
that.
McGregor's-
I always forget
yeah.
he's Scottish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Apologies.
Because when
Ewan
was the last time you
McGregor.
heard him speak with a Scottish accent?
The meme
know.
that goes around,
Trainspotting.
there's a bunch of ski otters over there.
I think like he was in a commercial, and I think he used his real accent, and I was like, oh yeah,
Is
yeah,
that? You're like, oh, right.
Ben Mendelsohn
Right, I
is
forget-
not a Brit, right? He's an Australian.
I think so.
So like
yeah.
him using a standard British on the show, like hearing him in interviews, you're just like,
But like,
what happened? Your accent's just
it
slightly
slips
off.
a couple times. I mean, since we're on the topic of people mispronouncing things, people mispronouncing names. Yeah, he's from Melbourne.
Melbourne.
And like his accent like is usually rock solid when he's doing performances, but I feel like he slips a lot in this show, and I'm not sure if he's just tired of this character or if like just nobody was paying attention or what, but like he definitely doesn't stay in the solid British accent that he normally does.
Hemsworth has done it once or twice. I think my favorite is in Ragnarok. It's red. It's white. Pick a color. I'm like, that's not how you say that word unless you are Australian.
Right, which is, we just did a bonus episode talking about the movie the Extraction series, and
Yeah.
specifically Extraction 2, since that just came out. And I love the Extraction movies. They're hilariously fun, or they're just excitingly fun, I should say. They're not exactly hilarious, but I like it because Chris Hemsworth gets to be Australian in it,
Oh.
and he does not hold back, and he'll say shit like an Australian would. He'd be like, or I'm going to take your gun, mate. Like he just fucking goes for it. And it's hilarious to be like, I'm going to stab you in the throat. All right. It's just like, this is great. I love it.
Okay. So
super
I've never
not
watched
relevant.
them, but totally going to watch.
Oh, you have to. They're so excited. I talked about it, I think it was last week or something, but the action scenes in this are the best action scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Like we're talking Mission Impossible quality action scenes.
Damn.
And they're famous for one shot action scenes.
Oh, sign me up.
Extraction 1 had a 10-minute one. A 10-minute, well, it's not a real one, but it's a oneer. It's a seamless one shot. And Extraction 2 has a 21-minute long one shot take. It is the coolest freaking scene I have ever seen action-wise. Like it is so, and they like go from places to places. Like he gets on a helicopter, gets off the helicopter, goes to an area, rides a car.
Oh,
you go from in the
yeah.
car to out of the car, and it all just looks like this seamless thing. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah, I got to watch that.
But that's enough about Extraction because we talked about that last week. Hey, if you haven't hit subscribe yet, go back and listen to that episode. Go watch the Extraction series because they just announced they're making Extraction 3. So there's that.
It's super not relevant to the episode, and we can move on. But like that, I will always be annoyed, even though like I like a British accent. It's annoying to me that just is the default when you want someone to like either be like a fantasy or like an alien or like anything like that, and they're just like, I don't know, make them British.
Or like a profound villain.
Yeah.
Like they all have British accents. Like, yeah.
But like if someone has a rich like Scottish or Australian or like literally any other accent other than like BBC English, like let us have that. Let us have the whole canvas of colonizers.
I think the only time that it bothers those bother me. What doesn't bother me is like movies like Gladiator, where everyone's speaking with a Russian, with an English accent, and everyone's like, but they're they're not speaking, they're not even speaking, because they're not speaking English. They're just giving an affected accent to be like, we're not speaking English. We're just, instead of us all learning this dead language, here we go.
Right. Or having a whole film full of subtitles, like, unnecessarily for like an American or, an English
That's
film.
why they do it. And I'm totally fine with that.
Forcing the cast to go to like all learn like vulgar Latin and like actually film a period piece in Latin would be kind of amazing. And that's the kind of dedication I want to see from Russell Crowe.
Anti-Semite Mel Gibson did it for Passion of the Christ. The whole movie's shot in Aramaic. And I'm sitting there the whole time going, man, this would be totally fine if they were speaking English. I wouldn't give a shit.
Yep.
God damn it. I forgot about that movie.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Even though they're making a sequel for some reason. Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
my brain hurts
it's whatever.
so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just reminds me of a scene from The Good Place, though, where he's like, I learned Latin and ancient Greek in case either come back. Which is good. Yeah. So when we were last talking about the show, we were just talking about how Talos is chasing Ross. But it's not Talos yet. He is disguised as someone else. We don't know it's Talos at the beginning. He is chasing Ross, and you're like, oh shit, it's probably a bad Skrull, like coming after Ross because whatever. Like at this moment, I didn't exactly know Ross was a Skrull until he jumped from the building and smacked himself. Before he turned, as soon as he smacked the building, fell down, and then started to get up, I was like, he's a Skrull. Because I was like, obviously, because human, he would be dead.
I knew it before then. When he started like running and jumping and being Tom Cruise, I'm like, we've never seen Everett Ross do any of this shit. What the fuck?
I mean, we did see him jog tons in Wakanda Forever, so I think,
I think what did it for me, and like, I was a little bit disappointed in this intro sequence only because they gave it to us a little bit in advance in like a trailer, a teaser, whatever. But it felt like they were giving us a one shot. So like this was going to be like, if you watch this, it would be like later on, it'll end up on Disney Plus as one of the one shots and you can watch again. But otherwise it's not going to be in the series. I was like, oh, cool. So this is a little like behind the scenes, like, oh, we're going to find out something about Ross in like the actual show. But they just gave us that scene again. I'm like, oh, I've already seen this. And it's that moment where Ross in quotes gets shady about the holo tablet, and I was like, "Fuck, he's a Skrull." Like, and I had my suspicions again just because I was already like, "Why isn't this dude taking any precautions when he's just doing this info dump on someone?" So, but we belabored the first like 3 minutes already.
Well, I mean, to talk Star Trek for a second, it took, I don't know, a really long time for the Federation to find a way to spot out changelings. So,
true,
right?
New territory for them. I get that, but like,
true, but like,
if you're as paranoid as that dude was, be like, hey, let me punch you in the face. Make sure it doesn't like deform.
It doesn't, bleed green or something.
But like, contrast the scene where Seven is chatting with Tuvok and figures out that he's not really Tuvok versus this with Ross. Like, it's a lot clearer that Seven is not trusting the person that's on the other end. She's trying to feel out if he can be trusted, and this agent Prescott just doesn't even try, and like that's the part that's weird to me.
So one of the other things about this that I think, leading into the series alone, and this is something that, we get the plot, right? The plot of the series is it's been 30 years. Nick Fury and Carol Danvers were supposed to help these Skrulls that the refugees of Skrulls to find another planet. They haven't. And obviously the blip caused, a little mess ups in that. But the blip was 5 years ago, ish at this time.
I'm tired of them not giving us timeline of shit. Like, Star Wars this shit. Make it ATB after the blip.
Yeah, like, after the blip.
Yeah. How many years after the blip?
6 years after the blip.
Or just AB.
AB after blip. There you go. Yeah. Like.
Yeah, done and done. But yeah, so we know that they had been searching. So my issue with this is like, So we are introduced to the character of Gravik, who is the bad guy of the series, let's say. So he is basically disenfranchised. He is like, you've been trying for 30 years. We're no closer to finding a home. This is the plot of the series, right? This is the general plot of the series. To which this is one of those moments where at the beginning of the series, we're talking episode 1, up until the part where where Gravik becomes a full-on terrorist and bombs a city for what reason, I'm not entirely sure yet. I understand why he's pissed. Like, I side with him up until he becomes a terrorist, right? Before we see him actually detonate bombs. I'm like, dude, I get it. It's been 30 years. I get that the blip was a big deal, but even if the blip was 10 years ago, what were you doing for the other 20 years?
How old is Gravik? Like,
right?
Is he the same age as what's Amelia Clark's character's name?
Gaia.
Gaia. Are they like roughly the same age, and that's where this comes from?
Who can tell? Because obviously they're wearing their human suits, but also like Amelia Clark specifically looks younger than anything I've ever seen her in.
Yeah, she looks super. I'm like, is she aging backwards? Is she Benjamin Buttoning this shit?
Yeah. I think she is, and I'm okay with it.
Michael and I were discussing this the other day because, like, in Game of Thrones, she plays a literal child, and in this show, where like it's like presumably she's supposed to be in her like 20s, maybe even 30s, given how long it's been.
She was in Captain Marvel, which took place in what was the year of that one? 91?
1980.
No, 90s.
Yeah,
because of Mallrats.
Oh, 93.
90s? 93, 94 because of Mallrats. The Mallrats.
Well, we know, they say it's been 30 years. Let's just say, like, estimate it's been 30 years. She was a child then, so she's at least in her like mid 30s,
mid 30s, early 40s,
and like obviously that doesn't make a difference when you can change your shape, but the shape that she's adopted, Amelia Clark, looks like she's 20 at best.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the haircut or what. Yeah, she looks super young when she came on the screen.
Yeah.
And I have another complaint about this too, and this also has to do with the marketing. I completely agree with you, Bree, about us seeing that opening scene and it not being just a prequel like sort of thing, like the old Marvel one shots. The other thing that I disliked is that there was a really great reveal built into episode 1, but it was spoiled in all of the marketing and everything, because by Amelia Clark announcing she is Gaia, it ruined the spoiler of, oh my God, that's Talos's daughter grown up.
So I didn't hear that. And the instant she appeared on the screen, I'm like, oh, so that's Talos's daughter? Yeah. Got it. Okay. Like, I think Marvel is like, yeah, nobody's gonna not think you're this person. So you can go right ahead and say.
Well, I mean, yeah,
because I didn't hear that. But as soon as they're like, oh, she ran away, I have no idea where she is. A scene later, there's this random woman, roughly the age that she's supposed to be. I'm like, that's the daughter. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, well, so early on in the film, he says, well, Gaia, who knows where Gaia is? And then later, someone says, oh, hey, Gaia. And I'm like, this could have been written better, where it could have been like,
no, she's never referred to by name. They do a very smart job of not doing it until.
Do they? I thought somebody calls her Gaia.
When she's sent on the mission, the other dude, the other dude that's there that sends her on the mission is like, you come with me, which made me go, why aren't you saying her name? Oh, because she's Gaia.
But like, also she was clearly someone important at this Skrull compound, because she's the one that meets the Wanderer at the gate and like kind of gets him admittance and shows him around.
And she's Amelia Clark.
So she's going to be someone important. But Michael, you kind of hit on also like one of the biggest concerns that I had going into this show was, and we got this in the faux one shot, basically trailer spoiler, where Ross like explicitly says that like their only point of contact was Fury, though there are allies, and as far as we know, 30 years ago they were the good guys. We helped them against the we collectively Earth helped them against the Kree. The Kree, thank you. And like, there are allies and we're helping them. Yeah, maybe we've dropped the ball, but like, why would they turn on us? And I had that same concern going into this. Like, how are they going to make Secret Invasion happen when the Skrulls aren't the enemy in this?
Right.
And like,
that was the great. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that whole notion of like them like becoming disaffected after decades of inaction by Shield and their supposed human allies has this younger generation like we'll take care of ourselves. That makes sense, and that I think was a good way of approaching this.
Sure, but that was the great I thought twist in Captain Marvel, and I think it boils down to casting Ben Mendelsohn because he always plays the douchey bad guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
For all the way back to Dark Knight Rises, like he's always been this douchey, punchable in the face bad guy. So when he shows up and you find out he's a Skrull, I'm like, oh, Jesus,
like he's the bad
fucking
guy
again.
right.
And then he shows up at the house later in the movie, and he's all like, kind of like charming and fun. And I was like,
drinking his drink.
hang the fuck on, is he a good guy?
I loved that reveal.
Yeah, that was such a great twist.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, at this point, Fury finally comes down off of Saber, which we last saw him on in the post-credit scene of Far From Home.
Yeah.
Which, again, like to your point, Casey, about them never giving us timelines, we know from the Marvels trailer that Fury is on Saber when Kamala Khan zaps into space outside of it.
Yeah.
So let's put a pin on that and let's talk about it after the end of the episode because it's relevant to the end of the episode and new information I've learned.
Oh,
so let's put a pin in that. So
you're gonna have to wait.
I know you're gonna have to wait because it's relevant towards the end of the episode. So Fury comes down. He's met by Maria Hill, who his right hand man, so to speak. And they get in the car. They're good. And again, the last time we saw these two together, aside from being blipped, was Far From Home because Far From Home happens after the blip, right?
Well, we don't see them in Far From Home.
Well, right. But I mean, we see
No Way Home.
Quote unquote.
Are they in Far
No
From
Way
Home?
No, it's Far From Home is when because it's the whole thing with him and Mysterio. That's not Nick Fury the entire time.
You're thinking No Way Home. No, Far From Home.
No Way
God
Home.
damn it.
Far From Home is the new one.
No Way Home.
Far From
Hang
Home.
on. Homecoming.
No Way Home is the
Far
third
From
one.
Home. No
Far
Way
From
Home.
Home is the second one. Far From Home is the one where they go on the class field trip to England.
John Watts, you motherfucker, made all your movies home. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, so Far From Home, the one with Mysterio, we see Nick Fury and Maria Hill. They're the first two characters we see in the movie. And in the post-credit scene, we see them driving and they both turn into Skrulls. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we go up to Saber, up in space, and we see Nick Fury hanging out on a holographic beach, surrounded by Skrulls, working and hanging out, and he's like, all right, let's get going. So like he is up on Saber. Now he is back down to Earth.
With a limp.
Possibly.
A very pronounced limp.
Which they had to tell us like 5 times in this episode. They're like, it's Nick Fury, and he's limping.
Yeah.
He's limping. He's
just in case you missed it.
Ageism. I think,
right.
But I think part of his limp, is an act to make him seem more fragile. He's done that before. Mm-hmm. But B, I'm pretty sure he had his artificial gravity up on Saber just turned up just a little to make it a little easier to walk around. Because his first step off the space bridge, I guess, is what that is. Like it seems like that's bringing him up and down. It's not a transporter and it's not a shuttle. So
it's a Bifrost.
No, yeah. But when he steps down, he kind of like adjusts it.
Like,
I'm like, nice little bit of acting there, Mr. Jackson. Like, that's really great.
Here's the thing: over under on Fury being a Skrull again.
Oh no. I have a question.
We think he's full on Skrull or full on.
Yeah,
Fury?
it's full on Fury with his, as Susie Izzard says, huge fuck off beard. That is like, in the trailers. I remember being like, that's what we're going with. That okay, sure. It's a good beard. It's a good fake beard, but it's still like that's.
It's definitely I'm a hermit. Leave me alone. Yeah. Get off my lawn.
He's full hermit
beard.
Fury at this point. Yeah.
Full hermit Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. So the limp was very pronounced. It's brought up several times throughout the episode of hey, you're walking with a limp. Hey, you're looking a little older. And eventually, so Fury gets in with Talos. He gets in with Maria Hill. They sort of brief him on everything, and we get the whole like. you're the reluctant hero, right? Fury is the reluctant hero of the series. You know, he's coming down and he's like, I didn't want to have to come down, but shit's gotten so bad that I had to come down.
Right.
You know, and so now he's down here and he's like, I've got to deal with it myself. We have yet to really understand why he has to deal with it himself. I know that in the episodes, we're going to get some sort of personal connection between Nick Fury and Gravik. Obviously, we're going to see some sort of flashback, I feel like, where it's going to show him like raising him like a kid over these past 20 years. Maybe he's been on Saber the whole time. I don't know, like something, you know, because here's the thing. Making Gravik be African-American as well as Nick Fury gives them a sort of connection, which is going to make him feel like a better villain to be like, you were supposed to be my dad. Like, my Skrull parents didn't make it, and you were supposed to find us better help, and you didn't, and blah, blah, blah. Now we're all, you know, now we don't have a home, and it's your fault because you were supposed to lead us there. I trusted you. I believed in you, and you blipped out and just gave up on everybody. So this is the standard writing, right? This is what I predict is happening because that's the way I would write it off the top of my head. That's my first bit of how I would write it.
Interesting.
Wouldn't be great. I would rewrite it to make it better, but that would be the first thing because it's the obvious thing.
Yeah, I think I'll steal
Kingsley
from
Benaderet is definitely capable of the gravity of a Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury influenced character.
Yep.
I'm going to steal from my brother and say this episode felt like a really good first draft.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, I mean, so this is where I agree with you about.
It's not bad. It's just like there was never a moment where I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, especially the ending. I'm like, "Okay, but is that her?" Like,
right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, the ending was the only thing where I was like, "Oh, okay, they're going there. They're going to do this." Now, not necessarily. You know, again, we'll talk about that once we get there, which we'll get there very, very soon. But yeah. So. You're right though. This does feel like I mean, this is nothing similar, nothing new compared to like all the other spy shows that are on Netflix right now. Sure. The Secret Agent, the Diplomat, the Night Agent, you know, like all those. It's set up exactly the same. I've watched them all. I freaking love them. I love them to death.
Oh, I love a good spy show, but it's just I expect after
it's just so standard. So the middle of this episode. We get all of this back information that we've been talking about, right? Like, you know, everybody's disenfranchised. They've now set up these terror cells. And one of the things that we've learned is that the Skrulls have a way of stealing the memories and the mind of the people that they copy. They have this technology that they're basically imprisoning people, stealing their brains so that they remember and know everything. Because what we learned is that when the Skrulls copy a person, they don't know them. They they just look like them.
Which is usually how what their giveaway is, what they tell. Like, doesn't that like reek of Kree tech though? Like that just seems like the kind of thing that they would do.
It's literally the same tech that Carol Danvers is hooked up to, and it's the same effect. Worse now because it's TV budget versus film budget.
True.
Yeah, those crackle lightning effects. I'm like, yee. So, question in this scene, the shadowy figure up top, who is that?
It's Gravik. That was my assumption, the way it was shot.
I think we're supposed to think it's Gravik. I think this is the upcoming twist, that it's someone else.
Is that it's not Gravik.
And I'm thinking it's the person they're saying is the super surprise Skrull that no one will see coming. And
God, I hope it's Chris Evans.
No, you know who I think it is? I think it's the president.
Oh, I feel like that's a boring answer, though. I hope that's not the case, but it would make sense to put Ross. That's confusing as the president because we know that in Captain America: New World Order, Harrison Ford is Brave New World, right? Brave New World now.
No, call it Brave New World Order. No, thank you.
Yep, is that he's the president in that, so it would make sense. We do know that Harrison Ford plays the president in that episode. And then he
movie. Has no idea what a Red Hulk is.
Red Hulk is. I don't know.
I love him in interviews.
Oh God, he's so funny.
Because he either legitimately doesn't know jack shit about any of the characters he plays, or he just doesn't care enough. Or in a case like this, he's just really good at pretending because he's helping to keep the secrets.
I think it's that. I think it's just like with Tom Holland. Tom Holland knows when he's supposed to tell spoilers at this point and when he's not. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's Harrison being like, "Ooh, you're too close to the real thing, so I don't know what a Red Hulk is."
But
So
like,
I
it's
think-
the same way he talks about like any like Star Trek, Jesus, Star Wars projects. You know which one I prefer. When he talks about any Star Wars projects that he's done in the past, he's like, what the fuck is a Jedi? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
are
think
you a
that's
Force ghost?
keeping up-
What the fuck is a Force ghost?
The fuck's a Force ghost? I think that's keeping up a joke, but every time I hear him with an interview like this and he's like, I don't know what that means, it just reminds me of the Mark Hamill bit where he's talking about like, hey, well, like, shouldn't our hair be all messed
Not
up?
that
And
kind of
everyone's
movie,
like,
kid.
it's not that kind of movie, kid.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
just
so
love
good.
that because that's exactly, you're like, right, that's exactly Harrison Ford.
And also, he's 100% right. Nobody gives a shit about continuity in those movies.
It's
Yeah,
so true.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
no,
true.
absolutely. Because they're all garbage movies, and they're still like one of the best movies ever made, best movie series. Anyway, so we've learned the whole middle of this is all learning about that, and
Didn't realize
I
you
know,
would be
it's a bold
shitting
statement.
on Star Wars.
I love Star Wars to death. I have 2
does.
Star Wars tattoos, and I will watch everything day one. But they are all bad. And there's no debate about that. They are all bad movies by large margins of many different aspects: writing, continuity. The first 6 movies, special effects. I don't care how great everyone's like, they were so good. They were not. They were subpar even for their time, except for the original Star Wars. Except for the original Star Wars, they were fantastic for their time. But everything after that, I was like, maybe not so much.
Anyone who tries to argue that they were like legitimately good movies, I'm just like, oh, honey. Honey, you don't have to do this. You really don't.
And here I come in, I'm stretching.
Put
and
a
you're
put
like,
a
"Here we
pin
go."
in this for when you have Todd on next episode.
Yes.
Just drop it in because I know he's not going to listen to this. He doesn't listen to.
Yeah.
He
Right.
barely listens to our fucking episodes. So he's not going to listen
can't
to
wait
this.
for that.
I was there. Why would I get to listen?
But just put a pin. Well, a little thing called QA, Bree, which just left you this guy. But
that's
but
great.
just sprinkle that in at some point. Just be like, yeah, Star Wars, all shit movies. Just watch The Rage. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
It's gonna be really fun. So anyway, so we get to, again, Casey, you're right. This is a very standard spy fair series. Like the episode progresses through, we meet Olivia Colman's character, who, is an old friend of Nick Fury's. We are to assume she plays Secret Agent Sonia Falsworth.
New character for the show.
For the show.
But
right.
her
So-
character, Falsworth, is one of the Howling Commandos from First Avenger. Same last name.
Oh, great.
So
cool.
Just continuing the spy trade keeps going through
I love it.
generations thing. Yeah.
So, so we know that they work together. So, one of the big scenes is Nick Fury is abducted by her mediocre henchmen, as she refers to them. And she's like, here's how I know you aren't, doing good. And this is, I think, another one of those red herrings where it's supposed to make us feel like he's a Skrull, is because she's like, the old Fury would have seen these guys coming a mile away. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I let them take me just so I could get to you.
Which is what I was assuming.
Yeah.
Which is backed up when he bugs her place.
Exactly.
Like that's kind of like oh cool. So we bugged the place. Yeah.
But he admits he let himself get captured. And either Olivia Colman's character is a shit spy or knew exactly what he was doing. Because what does she then do after he's like, I let them catch me? She's like, oh, can I make you a drink? And turns her fucking back on the spy. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
You don't turn your back ever. Especially when his back is turned too. Like,
when she
either
gives the really convenient exposition dump that he's spying on, she makes sure to position herself directly in front of the camera and speak very clearly, and make sure that the person she's speaking to is also clearly visible.
I'm really hoping it is just in the end. She's like, of course I knew you put that there, and that it's not just shitty spy trade. Like,
I know. I definitely feel like that's what they're putting up there, because she even makes the joke of like, well, why would I work with you? You're useless. And, and she makes a joke, but then she goes off and kind of helps him anyways, by like confirming some facts. So I'm like, okay, so she's going to be one of those allies, which is like, this is how it works, like you bring him in and I pretend to turn my back and we all do the thing together. Come on, guys.
I'm hoping,
Doctor,
I'm really
it's
hoping.
Kelso from Scrubs. Like, just do what you always do. You bring him in, you do it without insurance, and I just look the other way, even though we all know what you're doing. It's exactly what it is.
Scrubs.
I know. Great show.
Great show.
Yeah. Yeah, so now we get to the big thing. So the big thing is Gravik is hunting for these dirty bombs. Now here's where I learned the painter was a Skrull right off the bat, and obviously it was obvious he was going to be a Skrull. But the lining of his jacket was green, and I was like, "You motherfuckers!"
Oh, when Ross is being chased, there's a purple hue to everything, which is the other color in my head. I
Skrulls.
Skrulls. I was like, "Oh, he's a Skrull."
He's a Skrull.
Oh, how very smart lighting department.
Yeah, as soon as the artist guy like flips his jacket and it's green on the inside, I was like, "You fucks." I was like, "All right." I was like, "Kudos to you," but also like, "Fuck off." Like, I get it.
How do we feel about the Sam Jaxification of Fury throughout the movies? Like, you look at like not Iron Man 1. It's a very tiny scene, but like, it just seems like Sam is just kind of being himself the more this series goes on. I don't hate it, but I'm just like, odd choice.
You listen to the interview of him explaining how, like, at first he was pissed when he heard that the artist who did the Ultimates, like, basically copped his image without asking.
Yep.
And then he found out that they wrote the part because they wanted him, like, they wanted it to be him. And he's like, oh, that's fucking cool. And then, like, he got the part in the movie. So I feel like he kind of seems like he has a sense of ownership on that character now, and is just like, it was written in the comics to be me, so I'm gonna make it me in the movies.
Yeah, it's the Miles Morales of it all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I'm totally cool with it, just because I feel like Fury is that sort of like, Fury needs to be badass. You know, like he's the ultimate spy, right? Like it's been said in several Marvel, Chris Evans, says it. Tony Stark says even his secrets have secrets. Like, he is the ultimate spy, but he needs to be the ultimate badass, because that is what we learned in Captain Marvel, and that is that he is the guy, like he's the man,
right?
And like that's he has to kind of keep that persona. So I'm totally up for it, and I'm with that. And that being said, obviously the two mandatory viewings for Secret Invasion is clearly Captain Marvel, obviously, because half the plot comes from that movie. And I think it's really important that you watch Far From Home, the whole movie, but specifically the post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
I think those are the two most important things going into this. So if, by the way, you're watching this show and you have not watched those two things, go back and do yourself a favor, watch those two things, specifically Captain Marvel. Above anything else, watch Captain Marvel, because you're going to get a better idea and feel for the Skrulls and how they got from point A to point B, to where they are right now. I think it's really important. But you, of course, watched all those movies, right? All you listeners and viewers? Of course you have.
Your voice got low, so I thought you were talking to me. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I've watched them all.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I have a question that's directly relevant to the scene you were setting up before we tangented. Dirty Bomb. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Dirty Bomb specifically is called dirty because it releases not just like an explosion, but also radiation. Yes?
To my knowledge, yes. It is supposed to be like a half-assed nuclear bomb.
Okay. So the way that these explosions went off and the way that people responded to them did not give the impression that they actually exploded dirty bombs, that they just exploded traditional explosives in a public square. That's the impression that I got. Because there were a lot of people around, and yes, a lot of them got hurt if they were like within range of the impact or the blast zone, but there was no indication of like people being like radiation sickness or whatnot. And all of our main characters were in the blast range. If there was radiation involved, they would all be fucked.
Well, Talos wouldn't be, because they said
they're
That's how, and I don't know. We'll see. They might have,
I'm not sure that Skrulls like superpowers extend to immunity from radiation, though.
Yeah, they do.
That's why they said in the episode.
Yeah, that's why they hang out at the all the.
Oh no, you're right. Fuck.
Yeah,
I hate it. Like it's kind of like a fuck you to Russia, being like, we don't even know where all of them are. Like, Jesus, yes, we know.
Yeah,
Russia was shady with how they made their nuclear plants.
We got it. So the thing about this is, obviously this was a big subterfuge. This was all a decoy, anyways, because, we see all of the different bombs being held. He chases them all down. This is, of course, leading to our culminating final scene, where Nick Fury finally comes face to face with Gravik. Maria Hill's off trying to chase down the bombs. They finally do get to the people carrying the bombs, which Emilia Clarke is one of them, Gaia. and they're all fakes. They were all decoys, to which we are to assume that Emilia Clarke did not know this information as well.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
I think that we're left to assume that, but I guess we'll find out episode 2 or 3. But of course, this leads to the big surprise of the ending is we see Nick Fury, Maria Hill and Nick Fury finally meet up with each other during all the craziness. They stop. Nick Fury pulls out a gun and shoots Maria Hill in the stomach, to which she falls down to the ground, and then he turns into Gravik. The real Nick Fury comes up, and seemingly Maria Hill dies.
Extremely rude.
But not before saying it was you.
It was you.
Like, come on.
Yep.
No, she wouldn't.
They're
fucking shapeshifters everywhere. She knew.
Right.
Yeah. But
she would 100% be like, right, that wasn't actually Fury. But I think that was more of her saying, like, he looked like you, like giving him a hint of like.
I didn't think about that. That's probably what she was doing.
I don't think it was like an accusation.
And Fury thinks she's accusing. That's okay. It's going to get all fixed when it's discovered she's a Skrull and she's still alive.
Well, so that's the thing. So in the end of the episode, we're left to assume she's dead. She doesn't turn into a Skrull that we see in episode 1, which is what we know happens when they die. They turn back into Skrulls. But 2, here's the problem I have with this, and the problem has a name. It's Agent Coulson. Because Fury sent Agent Coulson to a project called Project Tahiti in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's a magical place.
To which Coulson is brought back to life. So we know that Project Tahiti using Kree technology.
I don't think the Skrulls will like that if they bring her back with Kree technology. Like, the fuck?
Right.
They're like the Nazis to us. That's not cool.
But you know what? Like, you also have declared open war on our planet. So, like,
I meant like Talos, like the good Skrulls.
The good guys are going to be like, what the fuck?
This is kind of fucked. You know this, right?
Right. So here's a couple of problems aside from that we have with this thing. And Bree, we talked about this just recently. So, and Casey, you brought it up in the beginning of the episode. What is the timeline of what things are happening?
Yeah.
So the big problem is that we see the trailer for the Marvels, to which Nick Fury no longer has a large beard. He is currently wearing his eye patch, which is not how he looks in Secret Invasion. In Secret Invasion, he is sporting a very large beard, and as of episode 1, is not wearing his eye patch. We know from promo trailers he will eventually shave into a goatee, which is what he have in the Marvels, and he does put his eye patch back on. So we know that that's coming up in Secret Invasion. So the question is the Marvels before or after Secret Invasion? Now, here's the new bit of information that kind of spoils everything. Maria Hill is in the Marvels.
Oh my God, thank you. I didn't want to look it up because I didn't know if we were going to talk about it, but I'm like, I distinctly remember her being there with Kamala when they go to her house and Kamala falls over the couch because she's the most adorable person in the MCU.
Right.
I fucking love her so much.
She's I can't wait for her in the Marvels. She's really going to shine.
All the time during Miss Marvels, I'm sitting there going, this is your first fucking thing? Fuck you. You can't be this good.
Right. Like, you're so good right off the bat.
Well,
yeah.
And I mean, if you look at Kobe Smulders' IMDb profile, she's also credited for a total of 4 episodes, but it's hidden under the upcoming fold.
So you lost me. I started to picture her in my mind when you said, if you look at Kobe Smulders, because good Lord, that woman. Oh, man.
Sorry, I meant Robin Sparkle.
The Secret Invasion IMDb profile, if you flip through the photos, there's an adorable picture of her and Ben Mendelsohn looking like he's her dad in like a rom-com, just wandering through New York. Great. It's very precious.
Yeah, I mean,
jealous.
So that's the thing. So
I want to be in a rom-com with Kobe Smulders.
Right. So this is the thing we're left to wonder is if this Colby Smulders was, or if this Maria Hill is a Skrull, the Skrull dies and the real Maria Hill is, being the guy in the van type thing.
Right.
Or if it's the other way around and the one we're getting is the Skrull and she's brought back to life and whatever. Like,
so
what happens? Because obviously Maria Hill doesn't die here.
When it is Hill fighting or chasing Gaia, and they fight in the underground sewer because that's where sewers are. And then
ideally,
Talos runs up. He's like, "Which way did he go?" I do like. She's like, "She like sexist son of a bitch." Like,
Right. Yeah, that was good.
when he runs away, presumably Hill goes from there to the bar where Nick and her, for some reason, suddenly hate each other.
Playing chess,
That
and
makes
she's
me
like,
think
"You're lying
she's
to me."
a Skrull at that point. Like the animosity that's suddenly
Yeah.
there. Like, I gotta wear this fucking fake skin and pretend that I am your bud. Fuck you.
Yep.
Like,
There is that moment though, and I know all three of you will appreciate this, is when they were sitting there and she's like, "Oh, I thought we told each other the truth while we're playing chess." I expected her to be like, "Oklahoma." From Ted Lasso.
yes, Oklahoma
Oklahoma.
barbecue.
All right, no, I do hate it.
Barbecue sauce.
Yeah. It's great.
Oh, wait, Sabrina,
yes.
are you all caught up on Ted Lasso?
I have not watched season 3.
It's very good.
Okay, I wasn't saying anything.
I'm already on my rewatch.
Oh God, it is.
If it helps, I had essentially the entirety of the first 2 seasons spoiled for me because I took entirely too long to watch them. So like, it's not really
I only
a
just
big deal.
It
But, like,
is one of the most perfect series of all time,
Yeah.
hands down.
I'll agree with that. It ends exactly as it should. Anyways, not when this is not the Ted Lasso podcast.
Ooh, but
Yet.
So
when are we doing the Ted Lasso podcast?
So, of course, as we sign off on this episode, I think you're right, Casey. Like, this was a very standard spy fare. I did really enjoy it, though, because I just really like Sam Jackson and Colby Smulders.
Yes.
Ben Kingsley Adair. I'm really excited to see more from him. Kingsley Ben-Adir, excuse me.
Ben Kingsley.
I'm more excited. Well, because it's
Is
so
Trevor in
confusing
this?
because it's Ben Kingsley and then it's Kingsley Ben-Adir.
What else has he been in? Is he a Bridgerton guy?
He was in Peaky Blinders. He was in. I had his IMDb profile open earlier.
Peaky Blinders. He was in the OA.
The OA, yep.
He was in the movie King Arthur.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I really
but
enjoyed
anyways.
him. That turnaround that he does is such a mustache twirling bad guy turnaround.
It is
but
great.
I
He's great.
fucking loved it.
And like the scene
Just
where
the-
like Fury has clocked him and he's chasing him through the public square and he keeps changing into different people and just like staring at Fury and like
just
egging
staring
him on.
right at him.
Is
I know
brilliant.
I know we're trying to end the episode, but where the fuck did the ball go? Little girl has the ball and then turns to the old man and he walks by where she went behind and there's no fucking ball.
Well, we know that they can shapeshift items because we see earlier the random guy that they bring in, he shapeshifts into the clothes that the guy he's copying wears because he shapeshifts his hat. I don't like that.
So is he
I think
just
that's really
showing
weird.
Nick Fury his balls? It's weird.
Pretty much, yeah. So I think
weird
they can
dominance,
shapeshift
man.
items as well, which is also shaky science on that part. In-world science, shaky in-world science.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you're just
so-
getting into changeling territory. Like,
Right. So to end this episode, it's something we haven't talked about, and I think it's super important because it's probably the best part of this episode is when Talos is talking about, I haven't even had my midlife crisis yet, where I go off and shopping. He said, "What did you do for yours? What did you get for yours?" And here he goes. The Avengers. Best
so
part of
good.
this whole episode, hands down.
So
that alone for me was enough where I'm like, all right, I'm definitely in. I mean, I was going to watch the show anyways.
to be clear,
but I'm definitely sold on it.
beyond doing this, I'm still going to watch. I just,
Oh, sure.
and I think,
I mean, you have to because you got to come back on.
yeah, that's what I mean. Beyond doing this,
Yeah.
but I feel like I maybe felt the same way after the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that was okay.
That was okay.
But then,
Yeah.
like, that is a very satisfying finale on that show. And it got better
Yeah.
as it went along. And knowing the history of the fact that, like, the thing that's being stolen are the vaccines because there was a whole pandemic storyline that they had to be like, ixnay on the pandemic.
Yeah.
We're in one. We
Yeah.
can't have this in here. Like, that's what the original, what the fuck is that group of people called?
I forgot what they were.
But that's what they were
Stompers or
going
something
after.
like that?
Yeah, the flag stompers. That's what they were
The
going
flag
after.
stompers. Yeah.
Is because there's a pandemic and like smartly Disney went, no, we can't have
Nope.
that storyline
Nope.
at all.
But and like this one is also suffering a little bit because we just came through like what was it, 3 back-to-back like really fun shows. I mean, we had Hawkeye, we had Ms. Marvel, we had She-Hulk. And those were all very fun and very kind of badass, like street level shows. And now we're into this more like serious spycraft. And it feels, you've referenced Winter Soldier a bunch. Yeah. It feels like more of an extension of that type of storyline, that very like serious, gritty storyline. Whereas we just had this like the fun side of the Marvel comics brought to life. We're back into serious territory, and it's like, yeah, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that the next thing we're getting is the Marvels, and it's going to be fun again.
Oh, cannot wait.
Right. Which, and this also comes down to a larger timeline question is, we just came off of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Yep. We know that the Marvels is coming up soon, which is going to deal with, some sort of, not necessarily multiversal, but some sort of energy transfer between those three. Mm-hmm. So like, we know big storylines are coming. We know Kang is impending. So like when these sort of series drop in the middle of that, it kind of feels like you're slowing the race down, mm-hmm. right? So like, I feel like this is going to have larger implications to the world, and it is going to blend into everything. But after episode 1, you're kind of like, yes, but the multiverse is expanding and exploding on everyone. Like, why aren't we talking about that right now? Like it does feels like, but this is happening right now.
There's a giant robot man in the Antarctic Circle, and no one's fucking talking about it.
And no one's talking about it, right? Like, that's the other thing. Like, this is where timeline gets a little messy, and I get it. It's big picture, or maybe it won't be. The fact of the matter is, we'll probably never see Hercules, from the Thor 3 or the Thor 4 post-credit scene. That's probably not going to happen because of Thor 4's, poor performance. So, like, it's just probably not going to happen. If it does, that'd be great. I would love to see it in Thor 5. But I think that's going to be another thing, that post-credit scene that's just like, that's cool, but we're never going to talk about it again.
Or he could show up in Secret Wars. Like,
we're building a collection of things that Marvel is just trying to pretend like, that didn't happen.
It exists, but we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah,
just know that it exists. Just know Hercules exists. We don't need to do anything with it.
They're never going to reference the Eternals again. Mark my word. Like, we'll be lucky if we get anything with Shang-Chi again. Like you said, with
that's
Hercules.
Sad. I love Shang-Chi.
Black Knight's not coming. Yeah. We're lucky if the Blade movie even happens.
Exactly. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff that has been set up or has actually happened that Marvel's like, Hulk who? Never heard of him. Yeah.
Oh, no, we are getting Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi 2 is already happening. That's in development right now. Yeah, that's confirmed and already in development. So that is happening for sure.
It's confirmed when it's released, Michael.
Well, but it is currently in active. Works. I know. We all went through Blade, but no, it is actively in development. Simu announced that just not that long ago that everyone's coming back and we're all working on a script.
Yeah,
so
I'd be down for that. I liked Shang-Chi.
Totally.
It was one of the best.
Yeah.
It was
Phase 4 movies.
Yeah. So Secret Invasion Episode 1 is available streaming on Disney Plus for those of you in America. So definitely check it out. Of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can follow along with the SuperPod HeroCast guys joining us. Casey, where can they find you on the web if they so choose?
Not Ryan Casey on the cesspool that is Twitter. Not Ryan Casey on the less cesspooly Instagram. We are also on the SuperPod HeroCast on summer vacation, but every month, including today as we record. So this is coming out tomorrow, correct?
This is coming out tomorrow. So
yesterday we released one of probably all of our favorite movies from when we were children, The Secret of Nim.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the sparkly Miss Briz. So that's what we're doing. We're going through all the movies that shaped and informed and made Todd and I the little nerds and that grew up into big nerds. And
I love it.
Yeah, we did E.T. first. If you want to listen to me bawl at the end of that movie, that is available for your listening. Oh God, don't even start. Nope, can't talk about it. It'll literally make me cry. Yeah, and that's all available on the Night Shift Radio website. Yes?
Yeah. So if you go to nightshiftradio.com, you can have links to all of our shows, specifically the SuperPod HeroCast, which for those of you guys listening on the SuperPod HeroCast feed, hi, thanks. We're the Never Heard of It podcast. We talk about indie movies. And this month of July, we're talking all about women-run movies. Ooh. So female-fronted, directed, or written, or both movies for this entire month. For the next 5 weeks, it's going to be all female-fronted films. So
Fuck yeah.
Definitely check us out. Hop over to our feed, hit that subscribe subscribe button and join us. So, Casey, thanks again for coming. We super appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Love our chats, and we will be joined by Todd next week, who will come in and we'll get to spend another hour and a half talking about episode 2.
And we'll shitting on Star Wars.
Yeah. And we'll needle them about Star Wars. That'll take up the first hour. All right, thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. We will see you next time.
Bye.